and welcome to Coffee with the Dead. I am your host, Perry Ann. Very interesting show tonight. It's the full buck moon. Last night was a partial eclipse. I did try to watch it, however, it was a little less than impressive. It was a 35% coverage, just the moon passing through the Earth's shadow or something like that. It didn't do what you would expect an eclipse to do at all. I think the brightness of the moon just dimmed by about that 35%. So, but I was there, and it was lovely sitting outside. I went up to a local small craft airport that we have around here and just hung out, lawn chairs, staring up at the stars. It was not a bad way to spend the 4th. Which, by the way, now fireworks are legal in Maryland? What? Okay, my whole street was lit up. That's never happened before. And the public fireworks display was canceled. So, I guess the community just had at it. I don't know. So, we got a couple people in chat already. That's awesome. Hey, Chris. And Lady Liz. I also have some new stuff up in the shop. So I did a new design for sweatshirts, kind of a wacky all over abstract type design. And then I did face masks. So we finally have those cloth face masks. Buy them, wear them, save Halloween. You know, hurrah! Let's see. I have these fancy pants new earrings from Spinal Jewelry. He's an awesome jewelry maker up in Canada. So as you can see, this is labradorite. And it's a little blurry, isn't it? If I hold it back some. Yeah. So labradorite in brass. Super pretty. You see all the nice purple and green kind of coming out in the light. It's great. I love these. And also I am wearing another pair, which you can see here, are the weights. And they're labradorite too. Super pretty. Super cool. Love them. So you should go to Etsy, look up Spinal Jewelry, and get you some. Because they're amazing. And actually, even though they're called weights, these are not very heavy at all. And the hook, it's not a huge hook, even though my ears are bigger. This hook will fit in, it looks like, 14 gauge. A little bigger than standard, but it should work. Put them in there, hang out, literally, because that's what weights do. So we have also, I made some socks for Coffee with the Dead in the Teespring store. And a new shirt, the Coffee Stain logo shirt, is now available. I redid it, wanted to change it up a little. So if you buy anything from the store, please send me a picture of you in it. And I will, brag all about you. Post your picture on the book face, and there we go. So I'm just trying to get my windows sorted here. Tonight we have Lisa Rambow. She is going to be doing full moon channeling, as it is the buck moon. Now, the eclipse was last night, but I do believe the moon is still considered to be a full moon tonight, even though it's starting to shrink a bit. So if you have any questions for Lisa, the call-in number is 443-267-8217. Also, if you're in the YouTube chat, just pop your question in there. And when Lisa gets here, we will answer all of your questions. Or rather, she will. Not that I can answer your questions, otherwise, why have a guest, right? It would just be me talking and answering your questions, and that would be super boring. So also for, let's see, I'm looking at my calendar here. It looks like the end of the month, there are some spots open if you would like to be interviewed. Just hit me up, email me, paraann at cwtd.co, or get me on the book face, and yeah, those are really the two best ways to contact me. But if you call the number, it's just a voicemail number when the show's not airing, so you could just leave me a voicemail there too if that helps. And I think I'm hearing some background noise here, so I think Lisa's already dialed in. I'm going to give her a few minutes to get set up and then introduce her. So again, any questions, get them ready. And, let's see. Oh, Lady Liz, you got a nice sunflower icon. I think that's new, isn't it? New profile icon in chat. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and bring Lisa in. Hey Lisa, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, honey. Can you see me?
Yeah, I see you. Hey, how are ya?
My God, why do I look pissed? I'm sorry.
It's just that
I'm
stress.
sorry.
It's just the preemptive stress kind of reflecting.
Oh, look, I was probably talking to myself, and I'm like, I'm so used to talking to spirits, so I'm just like, oh crap, I'm on camera. Shit.
Yeah. Kind of always talking, huh?
Yeah, it's bizarre. Like half the time, sometimes I'll sit in my apartment for hours having entire conversations with the dead, and then I'll realize, oh, where'd I go? Where was I?
It's like, what was I doing? Wait, what?
What
Oh.
was? Yeah,
No, I'm
either
just in my
that
living
or I'll
room. It's
be
okay,
out.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll be out somewhere and I'll answer out loud and then I'll look around and go, "Oh, sorry."
It's like, I wasn't talking to you. Don't worry about it. You can't see them.
Yeah, it still says Haunted Canada Marty King shot on the banner there.
Yeah, well, we will update that. Let me
Yeah, no.
let me see if I can do that live. Because Marty's actually in chat, and he is definitely um not who we're talking to. Let me just go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit while I update that.
Okay, absolutely no problem. Okay, so my name is Lisa Rambow. I am the owner of Kitchen Witch Boutique on Etsy. It's a Wicca and slash spiritual shop. I've been a proud pagan for about 16 years. I came out formally to my parents when I was in my 30s, which did not thrill them because I said coven and you would have thought they said coffin. And, and
Yeah.
about 2.5 years ago, I'm a nurse and I'm also a chef. About 2.5 years ago, I started an Etsy shop and I was led to just start creating all kinds of different products. And about 2.5 years ago, I started hearing the dead. So it's a really interesting story, and I'll just be really brief about it. Basically, one of my favorite deities, to give a big shout out, is Papa Gede in Voodoo, Baron Samedi, King of the Dead in Voodoo, Baron Samedi, Mama Bridget. And I kind of did a spell to them to help me with some problems that I was going through. Apparently, busted open my third eye, and then all of a sudden, I'm hearing dead spirits. So, of course, I was like,
Oh, okay.
I'm crazy. Like I'm just like
No.
apparently the dementia has set in and or whatever's going on. So I went to a medium and I said, what happened? And she's like, you channeled about 100 dead spirits through your head in 3 days. Which was really, it was bizarre because it was like a 3 day excursion and there were all kinds of like personalities. I was like, I was speaking French. I mean, there was like just stuff like was coming through my head and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh dear God, and then I discovered that I have these abilities and now I'm starting to help people with them. So, and I of course love my full moons, because it's what it is. And yeah, I didn't see much of the moon last night either. I was kind of trying to channel at the time when we had the eclipse, and I was kind of like, non-starter.
Yeah. It was pretty what's the word for it? Anticlimactic.
Yeah, it was because I opened the window and I'm thinking I don't even see the moon, so I'm like, okay, that's a little strange, but all right.
It was low. It was low because I think the eclipse was supposed to start like around 11, and it was already like halfway setting.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So.
Yeah, yeah, I tried, like I peeked outside and I was sitting there and I'm like, I don't really see much of anything. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah. So, what kind of happened to you then? So you started speaking all these different languages, and this other woman was kind of helping you discover what
Yeah,
happened.
yeah, basically what happened is, and this is why I tell people, like, you have to be so careful with spell work because I was given some like not super great advice on how to work with 𝕬𝕤𝕚𝕚, which what ended up happening is, yeah, like he granted my petition, but like literally I already had the abilities, and it's like spirit came and just boom, like just my third eye. And for 3 days I was in like a trance state, and I was just, it was like all of this knowledge was being downloaded into my brain. There were like personalities, and I'm sitting here thinking, what in the, I was
You're
like,
like, what is this?
yeah, I mean, half of me was like, this is awesome. And like the other half was like, I'm scared
Yeah.
because like, I mean, I could hear like my mom, my dad who had passed, I could hear like, I was seeing all kinds of just stuff. And I'm like, this is insane. So of course, like I went to a reputable medium and I'm like, what happened? And she's like, you were given an immense spiritual gift. And I'm like, okay. So like, and it's been like quite a journey for the past 2.5 years.
That's amazing. So where are you now versus when you started in this sort of like few day long trance and all? Like how has that progressed into where you are now?
Well, essentially, I started this shop about 2.5 years ago, and in the past, I would say about year and a half, the shop started getting really busy. People started approaching me. They're like, "Can you do this working? Can you do that working?" And I was like, "Sure." And I started getting results. Then Spirit led me to start making soaps. And you had a guest on, Chris Geyser. That's my friend. He's the one. I had a dream about him, and I know that he mentioned this when he was on with the video games. I said to him, I had this really weird dream about you. It wasn't anything weird, but I said, I'm inspired to make this for you, this product for you. And
Yeah.
like, so a lot of people were like inspiring me with stuff, and I'm just like, this is awesome. And then people are coming back and they're like, this is really working for us. So of course, I am a godchild of Hungan Hector in New Jersey, Papa Hungan Hector, and I went to him and I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, you're meant to serve the dead. And I'm like, really? So
It's like,
he's
oh,
like,
that's fascinating. That never crossed
yeah.
my
And I'm like,
mind.
no, that's cool. Like I like, gravestones. I like cemeteries. And I'm like, okay. And I would start to like, I went to Mexico about a year ago. I'm in Mexico and I'm like vision after vision after vision. And I'm like in my head going, wow, like I don't drink, I don't smoke anything. Like I'm like, okay. And I was like, it was fascinating. Like, and like I would see like all kinds of different spirits. And what ended up happening is I was called, as much as I'm a pagan and I'm Wicca, I was called to work with with Sanse with 21 divisions, which is a Dominican form of voodoo. Because like, I got all kinds of like readings from Papa Hector, and spirit called me. So I just received my Sanse initiation, which is the first level.
Okay.
Which, yeah,
From
it's
him,
kind of
or who gave you
from
this?
him. Yeah,
Okay.
he
Okay.
he does it. Like he's a world class, world famous voodoo priest. So he did it. Like a lot of it was to protect me because I had so many spirits in my head. Like I would literally be like in line at like Walmart and I'd be cracking up because the dead spirits are hilarious, especially like the Getty spirits of voodoo. Like they would crack jokes all day long and I would just crack up laughing, and then I'd look around like, oh, uh-oh.
It's like, yeah, it's like I laughed out loud. Oops.
Yeah, and then like my friends are used to it, but it's like really hard on my social life because I'll sit there and like I'll be talking to somebody and I'll go, oh, what happened? Because I'm like listening to like something else.
Right, exactly. Or like, or you end up like responding to them instead of your friend or something. Like,
Yeah, oh, yeah,
it's
and
just a
it's
lot of
crazy.
crosstalk.
it's crazy. And then people would be like, "Oh my God," they're like, do you have spirits walking with you?" I'm like, "Yeah, you just can't see them. I can't see them a lot of the times either. I can hear them, but I can't really like, I mean, if I like looked, like sometimes I've seen like apparitions, or if I do scrying into like candles, I can see them, but otherwise, no, like I just hear them. I'm more clairaudient.
Fair enough, fair enough. Now people are kind of like, well, where's the proof there if if you can't see them? But it's just what it is, right?
Well, it's very scary because unfortunately, like when you're not initiated into a tradition and you're just hearing these spirits, like a lot of times there's tricksters. And this is what I found. And a friend of mine, I want to give a shout out to Mambo Sandy. Mambo Sandy is an amazing Buddha priestess, and she talks about this a lot, that like there are spirits that will imitate other spirits. Like they'll say like, "Oh, this is Ursula Fredo, like this is Papa Baron, this is Baron Samedi, this is like Archangel Michael." And like when you're an inexperienced medium, like you have no idea, and you're like, "Oh my God, it's Archangel Michael, oh my God." And they'll lie to you and they'll give you fake information. And then like as a spiritual worker, you'll turn around and go, "Okay, well, Spirit says such and such and such." And the person will go, "What?" I mean, I did a reading for someone a year ago. I told her that her husband was bisexual. And she's like, "What?" And I was like, and I had to go back and be like, yeah, about that. Because I was mortified. Like, I'm like, "Oh my God." So like it takes like intense training to just be like, that's not like, this, I have to filter out all like what I call the spirit chums, and it's gotten better since I've been initiated as a sensista, but it's still like, it still gets confusing. Because it's like, and then like, and then like they try to play games and stuff. Like I'll be like, "All right, guys, where are my keys?" And they're like, "We're not your mates. We're just your spirits." I'm like, "Okay, that's hilarious."
Oh. So do they
Yeah.
like mimic the voices too of like these other spirits? Like they sound exactly like them?
Yeah, you have to have like a really deep connection, because like sometimes like they'll sit there and they're like, "This is Papa Getty. Go get me something to drink," and all. Like I have to sit there and I have to be like, "No." It's like, that's not him.
That's not something he would do.
Yeah, and let me tell you, as a medium, as someone who works with spirits and who goes to voodoo ceremonies like regularly, yeah, they do exist. They're amazing, and yes, they absolutely 100% hear your prayers. Because, like, as I was starting to really get involved with the shop, like I put a petition into Papa Getty, who's my most beloved. I call him Big Bad Voodoo Daddy because he's my baby. And I said to him, like, "Listen, I really, I'm trying to get this shop, I don't want to work nursing right now. Like with COVID, it's a mess." And like the first thing, like I see him in ceremony, boom, like he mounts whatever, like, and first thing he says to me is, "I'm going to help you with money." And I'm like, "You heard me, yeah, you heard me."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing because it's just like there's absolutely proof, like without a doubt. Like without a doubt. And they're beautiful. They're amazing. They have personalities. They have likes and dislikes. And like I know, like a friend of mine had given an offering to Papa Getty, who's like really, really good at taking off black magic. And so I was in the car with her one day, and I was like, "Yeah, Papa Getty like said thanks for the chocolate." She like looked at me. She's like, "How did you know that?" I'm like, "He just told me."
Yeah.
Just,
He's just
he
here.
just told me.
Just let me know.
Yeah, he likes chocolate. It's all good.
So we got a couple people in chat saying hi to you. We have see Christina White says, "Love you, Lisa."
Hey, that's my girl, Christina White. Let me give a shout out to Christina White. Christina is one of my first customers in the Etsy shop, because I went really serious hardcore with it since April of last year. And she, started buying my stuff, and she would put up like really good reviews, and then she would text me and she would say like, "Hey, what do you think about this idea? What do you think about this idea?" And then I would write a listing, and then like, blah, 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 whatever. So it's really important, like when you're working as a spiritual worker, because you do get some wackadoos. Like I was saying to you earlier before the podcast, I had the same guy asking me to change him into a mermaid. This is like 3 times. And I'm like, dude, come on.
I don't
like,
know what you think. I don't know how he defines magic, but
yeah, because I was like, it does not work that way. Like,
no.
Seriously, like I would change myself into a bajillionaire if that were the case. And you try to explain to people, like, magic has to follow a normal, like, psychological and physical line. Like I have seen, like, I really need the money, and I'll see a big order come up in my shop, but it's not like I'm gonna like walk outside and find like $1,000, like, well, maybe I would. That would be awesome.
That would be lovely.
Yeah, and I just try to explain to people. I said, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that like that magic will accomplish but it has to follow physical means. Like there has to spirit a lot of times will they'll approach you like they'll use a human. Like they'll like somebody might come up to you and they might say like, hey, blah blah blah, like by the way, your mom says hi. Like that's spirit.
Right.
Like spirit will they'll kind of like real like briefly come into somebody's head and just say it, and it's just stuff like that.
But magic is more like spirit shows you how to do the thing for yourself. It's not going to just manifest a bag of money. It's going to show you a new opportunity to earn money.
Yeah, I try to explain to people. I said, yes, like they do, like I'll be in my kitchen, I'll be making soups, and spirit will say, cardamom. They'll be like, put alfalfa in here.
Right.
Or they'll be like, and like one of the things that I'm really blessed is that I do work with curandero spirits, which is like a Mexican folk healer, and like they were like cascara sagrada, and I said that's poop medicine, dude. Like what? Why are you and I'm like, why? So I had to look it up, and I'm like, why are you telling me put poop medicine in my soap? It's disgusting. Like, why would you say that? And like, it turns out it's buckthorn, and buckthorn is one of the strongest uncrossing / hex removal / removing negativity, bringing in prosperity, keeping away from the law, general good luck. Boom. And I was like,
go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So now it goes in all my soaps.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
So we got also Chris is in. He's saying, imagine if Lisa was listening to spirits while on a date.
Oh, I do it all the time. Like, and then people who know I do this will be like, well, they're like, can you get my mom? I'm like, well, it's not like I go in my head and be like, it's not like a roll call. I can't just be like, hey, like, is it because what'll happen is sometimes the tricksters will like today, like, like they were like Matilda. I'm like, I don't know a Matilda. And then they'll flash me the little like Matilda movie, like the visual. And I'm like, yes, that is the movie. I don't know who you're talking about. Like, could you be more specific? It's just kind of funny.
Maybe you were supposed to go watch the movie.
Maybe do I have to though?
Maybe they wanted to watch the movie, so you had to put it on.
No, they definitely like they have like for instance, like Papa Getty and Papa Baron love Serpent in a Rainbow. Love that movie. Like every time, like they Serpent in the Rainbow, like James Bond, Live and Let Die. Baron Samedi is in that movie. Every time I see that movie, I'm like, Papa Baron, that's so you, because he's dancing, he's laughing. And it's just like, that's why, like in movies, like they do, I don't know about the horror movies, like The Exorcist had major issues. So did Poltergeist, so did like a lot of like Amityville Horror. They had like accidents happen.
Yeah, they're supposed the movie curses, yeah.
Yeah, and like it's kind of weird. Even The Craft, which is one of my favorites, they had I can't say her name, the one that played Nancy, the crazy one.
Yeah,
I met her. I met her. She's awesome. Like she's the tiniest little nicest little person, and I'm like, oh my god. I said, you're so sweet. I'm like, you were so evil in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you yourself are Wiccan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, do people like treat you differently because you're Wiccan?
No, I don't go around and really advertise it. I get the whole, oh, hey, you're very eccentric, aren't you? And I'm just like, yep. And I just kind of leave it at that because it's just something I'm just like, unless you are bringing it up to me, I'm not really going to go and just announce anything because of that. Because there are people who just don't understand. They're like, oh, like I get it like at work whenever like a lot of times in my office, meeting like new employees or whatever, sometimes they say, oh, what church do you go to in the community or something, and it's just like, I don't. And then they're like, oh, okay, you're Satanist, we don't want to talk to you.
Nothing to say.
That happens. So I'm just like, I just stay reserved, and I'll give them the name of a local church, I'll just be like, yeah, St. Paul's off of Route 22 or something, because it's not worth the politics that get involved,
It's unfortunate, like, because a lot of people, they don't really understand as Wicca or as witches, like, what we do. And I try to tell them, I'm like, no, we don't worship Satan. We don't eat kids. I love kids. I was a pediatric nurse. Like, it's like, no, like, the gods and goddesses are, that's one of one of the most fun things for me when I became a medium is I realized that all those gods and goddesses they were talking about, like Aphrodite and like Zeus and Ares and, they're all spirits. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, so I'm like, the Greek mythology geek, reading about the spirits, reading about the mermaids, reading about the pirates, reading about like all this stuff. And then when I became a medium and I actually physically met some spirits, I was like, this is awesome. I was like,
Oh,
this is
oh yeah, and it's just like in my experience, like dealing with like Archangel Michael, for example, like to me, he he is like so sarcastic, and he can be such a jerk, but a
yeah.
jerk with a point. Like he's not doing it to be mean. He's doing it because he's
No,
just like he's just like, look, human, like,
yeah.
take care of yourself. I have all of the answers, but I'm not giving them to you.
Oh yeah, he's actually funny. Like I've seen him now in voodoo. He's 𝕊𝕦𝕡𝕡𝕠𝕜. And one of the things, when I had my little like experience, one of the things is like Spirit kept saying to me, 𝕊𝕦𝕡𝕡𝕠𝕜. Like they wanted to make sure that I pronounced it right. I'm like, yes, I get it. He's Saint
Oh,
Michael.
they
And
hate it if you can't say their names. They're
oh
like,
my
"That's
God,
it. You
yeah.
are
And I
not
was like,
worthy. We are out." Like,
yeah, and like it's interesting because I happened to be at a voodoo ceremony at ℚ𝕚𝕦𝕡𝕡𝕜's Hector's house, and he mounted and he came out, and I'm like, who is that? And they said it's 𝕊𝕦𝕡𝕡𝕠𝕜. Well, 𝕊𝕦, God love you, was cursing up a storm. He was like yelling. He's like, my offerings suck. And I'm like, oh my God, you're an archangel. I don't understand. Like, my God, you're the warrior of God. Like, how? But he just like he's very to the point. And then I've seen other like manifestations of him where he comes through more as like San Miguel, Saint Michael. And he's real matter of fact. Like I saw him in ceremony. He came up to me and he looked at my feet and he goes, uh-oh. And I said, what? And he's like, you have weak ankles. And I'm like, he's like, you need better shoes. I'm like, thank you.
yeah,
Like,
it's like, okay, that's not what I was asking about, but thank you for letting me
yeah.
know.
Yeah, but let me tell you, like and let me just give a plug to Hungan Hector. Papa Hector Salva has a book on 21 divisions, the magic of 21 divisions Sanse, the magic of Sanse, Dominican and Puerto Rico voodoo. And 𝕊𝕦𝕡𝕡𝕜 is one of the strongest, like he's called in during exorcisms, like he's called in to work with priests like in demonic possession. Not that I would attempt that thing, because knowing me, like it wouldn't work out well. But he has taken off so much bad stuff. Like people who've been trying to get pregnant, people who have had like major neck. I mean, I've had people in my shop come in, they're like, yeah, I used a Ouija board, and now like things are like, really just hitting the fan. And I'm like, oh dear God.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's amazing. Like and a lot of the spirit world, like they will work together, like 𝕊𝕦𝕡𝕚, Aphrodite, goddess of love. Like she's I can't say the word. She's associated with the Blessed Mother. So like she's pure love. And it's like in voodoo, like if they say if you have problems with love, like you need to serve her because she's sending you a message.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, that's interesting. And then like you go back and you read about Aphrodite, like if you read Greek mythology and you go, yeah, she was kind of a brat. She kind of was.
I mean, they a lot of them were human at one point or another, and
Yeah.
so they're gonna have their own attitudes, right? And they
Yeah.
carry
I
over
mean,
into spirit.
I try to say to people, I said, the thing of it is that like a lot of them were human in life. A lot of them, like there were things that they liked. Like some of them, like they like liquor, they like cigars, they like cigarettes, they like their favorite food, they like black coffee. And that's why people will ask me like, well, how do I get the spirit's attention? I said, well, number one, pray. Just feel like, listen, I really, not to say that that spirit will necessarily answer you, because like they just might be like, yeah, that's nice, whatever, like I don't really have a connection with you. But I said, but it's always a good idea, to like put an offering out for spirit. Like I worked in a nursing home for close to a year, and I did not like it.
Yeah.
I was really like, this kind of it was rough for me. But like at the same time, like I kind of was like, I love Lazarus as a saint, and Papa Legba of voodoo is associated with Lazarus, St. Peter, and St. Anthony. I was like, well, you know what? Lazarus is like the patron saint of the sick, and I was like, you know what? Just suck it up. Like you can't always get what you want,
Yeah.
it was okay.
You either have a connection to that spirit, or they have a connection to you, or you don't, and you just find the one that you have the connection with, and they can help you. It doesn't matter, like,
Yeah.
so like Aphrodite is like associated with love. Well, if you don't have a connection with her, that's okay. There can be another deity that may not be associated with exactly what you're looking for, what your question's about, but just because you have that connection, they can probably help you with a multiple multiple types of problems, you know?
Yeah, they generally, what happens is like they generally approach you. Like it was really weird because just about, I guess like maybe about 3 years ago, like I was like, I swear to God, I'm in love with 𝕬𝕤𝕤. Like I'm in love with a spirit. Like I was like, I didn't even know this was possible. So like I basically was like, what is going on? So I got a reading from ℙ𝕒𝕠𝕠𝕜 Hector and I said, what's going on? And I'm like, I feel like I'm in love with a spirit. And he's like, you have like that, the 𝕬𝕤, which are the voodoo, like the voodoo spirits of death, like they don't marry because Baron Samedi is married to Mama Bridget. Like they're a very happy soulmate marriage and they work together. She just said sometimes.
Yeah.
She's like, I just got a mental image of her like I wear the pants, and she does because she's a really cool lady. But they said that that particular spirit doesn't marry, but I do have like what's called a spirit partnership with him, and like Papa Hector confirmed it, and I said, wow, like, and it's like it's astonishing because like I had no idea that like even something was possible. And 𝕬𝕤𝕤 has helped me like with a lot of like personal stuff, like a lot of stuff, like, you know, he helped me like, you know, with money, like with all kinds of stuff, and like he's helped so many people, and like I
That's
really,
a really intense amount of energy then between you two
oh
to have that
yeah,
kind of a connection. So
yeah,
we got a couple more in chat with saying, let's see. Chris says that you checked in on his father once and
I
saw that
did.
he was playing cards.
Oh yeah, that was right before the podcast because like I was talking to Chris like one day and I said, um, your dad's with me right now, and he said such and such. I don't even remember the whole conversation. And like, yes, Chris, Saint Lazarus does help. Hold on, depression, anxiety. Yes, he does. He's usually the patron saint of like really sick people, terminal illness, also AIDS. So like a lot of like people like in Africa, not to be, I'm not just on Africa, but people, you know, they pray to him. Let me just see what Spirit says. Okay, 𝕬𝕤𝕤 just said he's helping him more because generally what I do is like I channel that energy into the working, and I'll see like, okay, I just got Saint Martin de Porres, like I'll see that in my head, I'll see it in my third eye. And like a lot of it is like you have to surround the work with protection because unfortunately like with being like that, there's always going to be some trickster, like, and I'll get them where they'll be like, you know, like I'll be like in the middle of like a prayer, you know, and I'll hear putrefaction. I'm like, that's not funny. I'm like, bye bye, go, see ya.
Yeah. It's just
Yeah,
that's just other energies trying to creep in.
yeah, and it's annoying because it's like I have to stop, you know, and it's like, you know, and then
Right.
of course we've got the wailing Siamese cat that I swear to God, I swear like she's like I was like I swear she's got to see something, like she has to,
Now
because
this
I'm
is a
just,
real cat, everybody who's listening. This is not a spirit cat. This is actually
oh no,
Lisa's cat.
no, I have a Siamese, and like literally, she's the sweetest little cat. But like literally, people are like, "Oh, do you do phone rings?" I'm like, "No," because all you're gonna hear is, yeah, like you're gonna hear her screaming her lungs out,
Hmm.
and like people are like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "Are you killing her?" I'm like, "No, she's just wailing."
She just wants attention.
Yeah, and it's annoying. And then of course, like I'll hear banshees are screaming. I'm like, no, and then like I had to go look that up because it was like apparently a banshee is a scream, like it's a spirit that screams for the dead.
Yeah, it's
And
a
I'm
sign
like,
that somebody near you is going to pass soon. Yeah.
yeah, and then I'm like, guys, come on. I'm like, she's probably screaming for herself because like she's old and like rackety.
She's a cat. That's what they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, and it's just hilarious because it's like I have laughed and laughed because some of the stuff like when you meet like the dead, like some of them are freaking hilarious. Like I was in Walmart, this was like months ago, and like I'm out in the parking lot and I'm just, you know, putting my stuff in the car or whatever, and I was thinking about 𝕬𝕤𝕤, and 𝕬𝕤𝕤 goes like popped in my head and he goes, I'm like Visa. He goes, I'm everywhere you want to be. And I'm like, oh my God,
Oh, wow.
hilarious. Like, I could not stop laughing. And I said, Papa, you are the funniest motherfucker. And then I was like, oh, and he goes, oh, Lisa, calm down. I've hurt plenty of moms. And I'm like, oh, damn.
Well, he's, they don't, yeah, spirit is spirit.
It was hilarious because I was like, because he's also like, he's the like Baron Samedi's the head of the family, but like he's also the god of like sex and death. So like when he comes out at ceremony, he's walking around with a big stick and he pokes women with it. Like he'll poke you in the crotch, you know, and I'll
Okay.
just be like, whoop. It's just, yeah, and it's hilarious. And it's just, I mean, they all, like I said, they all have their personalities, and like they do know, like if you pray to them and you're like, listen, like if you have a special connection, like they will acknowledge it, like they really will. And I'll tell people all the time, like I'm like, yo, like this is what's going on for you.
And you're right, and then they're like, wow, how did you know that?
Yeah, it's bizarre because it's like I said, like now, thank God I got the Sensei initiation because I had so many spirits in my head. I was constantly dizzy. Like I'd be like, I can't even, my head is
Oh,
spinning
you gotta learn how
constantly.
to filter that because, yeah, when your third eye opens, it's like a rush of just noise.
Oh my God, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
and I have ADD on top of it. So I'm
You
like
already
I'm
have a
sitting,
thousand things on your mind, and now
oh
there's like a
yeah.
hundred voices on top of it.
Mm. And then like I was off my Adderall for about like probably like a year because I was like, well, let's just try to go chemical free. Yeah, that doesn't really work
Okay.
because like literally I'm just like, shut up, and I can't concentrate. It's just, and it's like, but at the same time, like it's crazy. And the problem is like, here's a big one that's happening right now. Like George Floyd, spirits that are masquerading as George Floyd are coming into mediums' heads and like saying they're George Floyd, and they're showing like what happened. Like I was reading about the funeral,
That's
and I started
awful.
yeah, I was crying because I was like, oh my God, this poor man. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. And like literally, who I thought, this was before my initiation, who I thought was George Floyd came into my head, and I saw what happened like in my head. And like it looked like I felt
Right.
like the foot on my neck. I felt like I saw his head go like that.
Oh no, no,
And I was
no.
like, oh my God. But then unfortunately, like I had other like spirits come in, and I had like, ones that were like yelling about, some soldier from like World War II. And then I got like some really nasty spirit who was like saying something nasty.
They're just all
And I
over
was
the
like,
place.
yeah. And I'm like, guys, come on. Like I don't sleep that good. Like give me a break. This
Right.
is just kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I know that you don't have like an enormous amount of time. So like if anybody has a question, if there's somebody that like, they want to try to get in touch with, I can try.
Yeah, Chris is just mentioning Saint Lazarus, Saint Nobert,
Hmm.
Saint Expedite, and Archangel Raphael. Now,
Yeah, same, yeah, same,
Raphael, though, I mean, have you actually been able to have a conversation with him? Because he
yeah.
always is just like so irritated whenever I've gotten a hold of him.
Well, why is he irritated?
I
Like,
don't
why do you feel?
know. I guess he's just not one that I should be calling to, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. We don't get along.
I don't see, that doesn't make any sense to me because you're a natural healer. Like I see this about you, and he's such a good healer, and a lot of his stuff, like Archangel Raphael works with Mary. Like he works at such a high level frequency that like, I mean, he's come into my head and said, you know what, you need to work with this. You need to work with this. And like that, like
See,
let
that's
the
what Michael does for me. But Raphael, he will not talk to me except for like very, very rarely and just enough to be like, you already know this. Don't talk to me. Go away.
yeah, I don't really know what to say about that. Like
It's so funny.
it's just interesting. Like I would say that I definitely speak more to Michael, but at the same time, like Raphael is in Sante 21 divisions, he's in the Cool division, the Indian division. I think they call him like 𝕊𝕦𝕡𝕡𝕠𝕜. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, but he's the head of the division. So like he's in so many, like if you want to say like so many different pots. Like he's not just an archangel, like he's also considered a loa, he's considered a mystery. And he's amazing because like he's come into my head, and like I said, he's what I dreamt of when I had the dream about Chris. Like I dreamt about a guy that I knew from high school. And I had to put it together because the guy that I dreamt of from high school, like I hadn't seen the guy in like 30 years. Like his name was Raul. And I'm thinking to myself, all right, what are you trying to tell me? So I kind of pieced it together. I was like, okay, Raul was Puerto Rican, our tradition's Puerto Rican, Caribbean, African, Dominican. I was like, oh, it's Archangel Raphael. Like, and I just was like, well, what are you trying to tell me? And then like, it's like sometimes it's like a puzzle,
Yeah, yeah,
and you know, like and
definitely.
then yeah, and then they'll show me, like I had to laugh because like The Illusionist is one of my favorite films ever. And I'm like, this is like being in a freaking movie. It's like being in a movie. Like,
Right.
and like I'll sit there and like I'll have the weirdest stuff happen, and I'll be like, oh, I see where you're going with that. Okay.
But then it all
So
makes sense, and it's just a message.
yeah, and I'm just like, guys, yeah, Chris is basically saying like, because I video called him because I was like, does this even work? I don't even get this, but like, and I said I just got a message, Card Shark. So I sat quietly and I'm like, what's going on? And like I said, Chris, did your dad play cards when he was like, alive? And he's like, no. And I said, he's playing cards with Papa Getty, and Papa Getty's calling him a card shark. I just heard, yeah, and I was like,
Okay.
and Chris, yeah, and I was like, okay, that was a little weird, but I was like, all right.
I guess so.
Yeah, but like, so, like, do you yourself hear them? Like, do you hear the dead yourself?
No, it's more like I can just feel when they're around, I get like the goosebumps and like I know someone's
Yeah,
in the room, and that's usually like when I'm doing an investigation, and then I'll go back and I'll
right.
listen to the recording, and like there's always a voice, or like
Yeah,
I'll hear someone talk always in my left ear, and it's like they're like inside my ear, not just like outside
right,
talking like a person would be. It's like someone has crawled inside my ear canal,
right.
because I feel like the hairs vibrate, there's
Yeah,
yeah, and that's always when there's an EVP recorded when I'm doing investigations. But it's like
yeah.
unless I get to that level of like tuned in and focused like I do when I do investigations, like no, not they don't just like come to me unless I like really really like quiet myself.
Yeah, that's
You know.
clairaudience. That's the best way to explain what clairaudience is. Because it's like people are like, what do you mean you hear them? And I said, I hear them inside my head.
Yeah,
Like if I
but it's only on the one side. So like if I
right,
felt that on my
usually
right ear, or if I felt it in both, or any other way, if it was not the left inner ear, like then I would know like there was something else going on. But
yeah.
when it's the left inner ear, I always know like okay, well there's someone around. There's something going
Yeah,
on.
it's really odd because I went to Gettysburg last year with my
Oh, I
girlfriend,
love it
and
there. Yeah.
oh my God, I heard you talk about that with your dad. I was watching that, and like Gettysburg was amazing. Like, so, like, she's going and she's putting flowers on all the graves. So, like, I sat down to this one grave and I saw this
Okay,
grave.
one second here. Now, do you have any Lady Liz in chat and she's saying there's weird feedback. It sounds like another conversation happening over you guys about a minute ago. Do you have
Oh,
any background noise or anything going on?
no, no. I actually turned the volume off on YouTube. This is just on my computer. Let me turn it down. Okay. Is that better?
Yeah, Lady Liz, let us know if that
Yeah,
reverb
honestly,
is
I
any
wouldn't be
better.
surprised if like you hear spirit transmission because like when I first started doing this, I would take pictures with my iPhone and then I would like play it back and I'm like, what was that? Like I would hear like sounds and like I would hear all kinds of stuff and I'm like, wow.
Yeah, so maybe it's
What's she saying?
she
It was
says
two
it was two
two voices
voices
over yours.
as we
Oh,
were
really? What were Lady
as we were
Liz, what were
talking
they
about
saying?
Raph and Michael is
What were
what
they saying?
and she says now it's normal. Well, I mean that makes sense for angels. They're funny.
Yeah, like Papa Getty just said, we love you long time. I was like, yeah, I got that. Yeah,
Yeah, and
I don't know. Like sometimes you get some really weird stuff. Like I'll hear like it's like I might go out and I'll hear something in the wind and I'll be like, what was that?
and you wouldn't tell yourself like, oh, it's just the wind, or oh, it's just my brain making noise. But then it's like, no, go with your gut. Like if your gut tells you someone was talking to you, somebody was probably talking to
Yeah,
you. Lady
yeah,
Liz says the talking was pretty garbled and she couldn't understand what it was saying. And Chris says his father needs to play 52 card pickup.
he said he is.
Oh, he is, yeah.
But yeah, he said he is, but he's letting Papa Getty win. Which is pretty smart. I mean, Papa Getty's pretty important. Like,
How do
in
you
the,
let somebody win at
drama.
52 card pickup? You just like refuse to pick the cards up yourself?
I don't even know. I don't even know what that. I don't play cards, so
That's
like I
like
don't
when
really
you
know.
throw all the cards out on the floor and you tell the other person to pick them up.
Oh, that's really lovely. Like, yeah. No, I've had this happen where, like I did a mojo bag for somebody and I videotaped it. And then like when he went to play it back, all he heard was like roaring like lions and tigers, and like things were in like super slow-mo, and the client was like, oh my God, please do not ever scare me that bad again. I'm like, dude, that was not me.
But you didn't do that on purpose.
That was
So
not
apparently
me.
Marty heard it too because he says, "Wow, that was strange."
What
So
did
I don't.
what did you guys hear? Like, what could you hear anything that was being? Because I didn't hear anything on this end.
I didn't hear it. And she said, Lady Liz says it was just like garbled conversation.
Wow, that's awesome.
I don't
That's so
know.
awesome. That's awesome. I love it.
Well, they must have been here.
Yeah, no, it's just weird, and like everybody's got their abilities, and I think what's happening like is that like things are opening up for people, like especially like for mediums or for witches or for like magicians and people that are into the paranormal. Like I was a ghost hunter too. Like I did it years ago, and like I would go and I'm like I feel something, but I'm not really sure, whatever. And then I would be like envious because other mediums would be like, "Oh my God, did you feel that?" I'd be like, "No."
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like I go into an investigation as such a skeptic that like because I'm always trying to like debunk it and I'm trying to like help people like not be afraid of the
Yeah.
location, you know. So it's like when I think something's going on, immediately I go to like trying to debunk it instead of like talking to the spirit or trying to exasperate it in any way. So like
Oh yeah,
those
you gotta
other
be
mediums and stuff who
really
are like
careful.
telling you that, oh, I went into this place and like wow, I was just like overwhelmed, there were so many voices and things. Like I purposely will close myself off so that doesn't happen.
You have to be really, really careful because I went to a graveyard with two girlfriends. Like I think it was like after like a Wiccan festival or something. And like me thinking like when you first come out as a medium, like you're like really like, oh, I'm the shit. I'm so cocky. Well, I went in the graveyard. I started taking pictures. It's like 10 o'clock at night. And I'm standing there and I'm like, okay, what's going on? Well, when I played it back, like I played like the video, I heard very distinctly they said, why don't you just lie down and take a nap? And it was very sarcastic. And I'm like, oh God, they're mad. And like, because it's like, you have to be really respectful of graveyards because, first of all, like, there's not just dead spirits in there, there's all kinds of stuff that hangs around.
Yeah.
And like, don't just come into their place, like their home, and be like, hey, who wants to talk to me? Hey, I'm here. Because like they were annoyed. Like they were really mad at me. And I like, and you don't just come in and be like, hey, like, I mean, like I went to New Orleans like 3 years ago and took graveyard dirt from like not Marie Laveau's grave because like she's all in concrete, but from that cemetery. And people were like, are you crazy? And like at the time I was like, oh, it's fine. Then I was like, oh my God, because
You
she's one
don't
of my,
realize what you're doing. You don't realize what you're
oh
doing at first because you
no,
get so excited about wanting to experience your gift as soon as you
no.
realize you have a gift, right? But
Yeah, but
then
like the
you
thing
start
is,
hearing their opinions on us
yeah,
snooping around, and it's like, oh, they are just like invisible humans. They got their own little attitudes,
no.
and they got
I
their
know
this
it's
is
the
their
same thing.
property. You're
Yeah,
in
it
their
would be the
house. This is
same
really
thing
where they
as like,
live.
yeah, like it's like same thing as like busting into somebody's house and just helping yourself to something in the fridge.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, I've apologized to Spirit. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like, I just did not mean to disrespect.
You had no idea, right? Because
Yeah, I thought, because
we get
all
really
I could
carried
think
away
of
with
was,
ourselves. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, all I could think of was, ooh, like I'm working hoodoo, like I'm gonna get some graveyard dirt because, like, I was like, oh, this is awesome. Let's get the dead to help. And it's like, oh, no, 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 no.
No. Yeah.
No, you have to be so careful because, like, the dead, like, it's a very specialized thing, like, because there are dead spirits that will help you, but there are also, like, spirits that, like, will attach to you and you can't get them off. Like, you have to
Yeah.
have a cleansing. I mean, it's like I had so many, like, before I got my initiation, I had so many spirits, like, on top of me. Like, I'm just, like, I'm going crazy.
Yeah. I mean, if you call to them and you like force them out of their homes, basically, if you like, so
No.
if you're just calling out to them, doing some type of incantation or whatever, like you think it's harmless because you think, well, that's just the way it's done.
No.
That's just that's how it is. That's what we do. And actually, no, that's how you get the imposters. That's how you end
Oh,
up
no.
with the demonic spirits around. That's how you end up with angry energy. That's how you end up, not getting good results, and the list
Mhm.
goes on and on and on. But when spirit actually comes to you and says, "Hey, I kind of noticed that you need some help."
Yeah.
then that's fine. But you never should
No.
force them from wherever they are out, and draw and force them to work with you. And that's what an incantation does. It's like binding the spirit to help you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they're not gonna be too happy about that. I wouldn't want
No.
to be, I wouldn't want to be bound and forced to help somebody
No,
do
that
something,
happens all the time. Like I've had on Facebook, I've had guys from Haiti, like bokurs, which are guys that work with both hands. Like they work with, like the left, the right side, which is like healing and like that kind of stuff. And they work with the left side, and they're like, "Hey, I'll sell you a spirit, like you'll be famous." I'm like, "Oh hell no!" And I said, first
yeah,
of
what
all, that's
price do you have to pay
spirit.
for that? You get your fame, and then like what happens, right?
No, and I just said that's the last thing you
No.
need is this poor spirit is like, because the price to pay for that is horrible.
Right.
And like I just watched Serpent in the Rainbow again, and I was explaining it to my friend, and I said, this is what's happening here. And of course he was like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And I'm like, no. See, I said, see how the guy, like he's trapping the spirits in the little Gavi and I said,
yeah.
Basically, like he's imprisoning them, and I said, like there's vengeance for that. I said you can only do it for so long, and then like you're done.
Right.
And I said, and like I'm Wiccan first, so I was like, that's law of three. I'm like, you don't do that.
No, and
I said,
and no spirit with good intention is ever going to come to you of their own accord, knowing that you basically run a jail. Like
no,
it's just not.
no.
That's just not it. So when you do incantations, just a word to everyone who's listening. I mean, do them for yourself. Don't call the spirit and ask spirit for guidance and for help, to do the thing for you. Ask to have the path shown to you so you can do it for you. Do incantations for self-empowerment and for you. And spirit will either answer or not, but if they're there and they want to help you, they will, but you really don't ever say, "Oh, I'm calling you down to do XYZ for me." Never.
It's like one of the things that they talk about is that like you may ask for something, you may not like the way that you get it. I mean, like here's a for instance for you, okay? Like so I have a bad back. Okay, so like this was like a year and a half ago. I go to the chiropractor. Chiropractor's like, you need serious chiropractic and whatever. So like she's like, it's gonna be like $3,000, and I'm of course freaking out because I'm like, oh my god, like where am I gonna, whatever. Well, literally 3 weeks later, boom, I get in a major car accident, and I'm like, oh my god. So like I go to the hospital, I get like a CAT scan, I get an MRI, whatever, and then like basically I get contacted by a lawyer who basically is like, let's set up a lawsuit. Well, I got all my chiropractic care like was covered, so like I got like my back is better now, so like that was definitely a help. But if somebody had said to me like, hey, like you'll get the care you need, but like we're gonna basically like total your car, I would have been like, yeah, no.
No, yeah, exactly. And it's just sometimes hindsight is really when we realize the blessing, but in the moment it's like, okay, well, I guess I had to go through that, but that sucked. And
yeah, no, it did suck, and it was rough. And like you have to be so careful because spirit, like when you can hear them, like they'll be like, I've had spirit be like, listen, if you just work with this spirit or that spirit, whatever, we'll get you whatever you want. I'm like, dude, I feel like Jesus on the Mount right now. I'm like, what is that about? Like, I'm like, come on. Like
I don't want to make any deals. Like, if you guys want to help, please help. But I don't want to make any deals and any no obligations here.
No, you have to basically, like, you have to surround it with light. And, like, that's why, like, in Hoodoo, we always pray Psalms. Like, Psalms are super important, especially, like, Psalm 23, Psalm 51. And, like, people will come through the shop and they're like, oh, my God, like, I love this guy. Like, he's married. Like, I want him to love me. And I'm like, ugh, and I'll just be like, listen, this is the deal. This is what's up. And I said, first off, concept of free will. I said, can't really make anybody really do anything they really don't want to do. Okay. I said, I could probably create a situation where communication is open. I said, but really, I said, the thing about like the whole love spell thing, and any witch will tell you this, like in the long run, they will go crazy. Like, it's like I've cast plenty of them in my
The
time where
karma
like,
that you pay for like the short-lived
yeah,
love affair is
yep,
going to be so much worse
no,
than you're feeling right now just missing that person. Like
no,
it's
no,
just it's just no good. It's no. Anytime you force the energies, the spirits, anytime you force anything, like that payback is going to suck. It's like selling your soul to the devil. You know, it's
yeah,
like you get the
yep.
riches and the fame, or you get the man, or you get the girl, or whatever. But,
It never,
but,
it doesn't work.
but yeah, it's like it's gonna burn out soon. It's gonna be a short-lived whatever, and then he's coming for payback. You know, he's coming to collect.
Yeah, and unfortunately, like I've seen so many situations where what happens, and I try to tell people because I do offer love spells, but I say to people, listen, this is not a guarantee. Like this is not, and I said, I'm just letting you know that you may get him back. Suppose that like you get him back and he's an asshole. Like now, like you're stuck because like
Yeah.
you
What if
bound
you
yourself
really
to,
get to learn who he is because the fun of the affair is over, and now you really have to live with this person?
yeah, it's
You
really,
know.
it's rough. And like unfortunately, and I will tell people this is like you will like if you do this stuff, like 9 times out of 10, you're gonna end up obsessed by this person. The other person's gonna be like, whatever, and you're gonna end up obsessed. And then your choice is unhappy because you're like now like you miss them, you want them back, and you're obsessed.
Yeah.
It's like in The Craft, like when she liked the guy, right? And the guy was an asshole. Like, and she's like, all I wanted was for him to like you. And he ended up like trying to rape her. Like he was like following her around, he was stalking her, and she's like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. Like, and you
Yeah.
have to be so careful.
And then he ended up dead.
Yeah, he ended up like, she threw him out the window. And
Yeah.
I'm like, now like again, this is a movie, this doesn't really happen. And like, and it's annoying when people are like, oh, can you do the stuff that the girls in The Craft or like the girls from Charm can do? I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely. I'm like, yeah, no.
No.
Yeah, but it does, like I've seen things happen and it's just it's insane. And that's why I say to people, like, it's better to just appeal to spirit and just say, like, listen, this is what I want. Please show me the guidance, show me like what is the best way to manifest, like what is the best, because it's like I said, like they say that sorcerers, like master magicians, like they can, and they'll get like a ton of money.
Right.
But again, like you're talking about guys that are following like Crowley, like the Hermetic magic guys. I mean, yeah, that's fine. But again, like, without the proper protection, like you don't know what you're
It's
dealing
about
with.
the protection, because even those guys, who snap their fingers and the thing happens, they pay a price for following
Oh
that
yeah.
path. Like they are constantly warding off attack, and they are warding off the consequences. I mean, like, you follow like paths like Crowley and things. I mean, there's dark things that are going to be coming after you
Yeah.
for payment, because you're using their services, and so
Yep.
now you owe them in exchange. So on
Yeah,
that
they
note,
would.
we have about 10 minutes left or so. So if anybody in chat does have anything to ask Lisa, wants her to to do a quick little reading into or anything, just
Yep.
pop that in chat real
Let me
quick.
put
Like
my
I said, we
glasses
have
on so I
about
can see you.
yeah, we have about 10 minutes left. So if anybody has any questions for her, she can do a quick reading while we kind of wrap up. So what were you saying about Gettysburg? Go back to that, because I think I cut
Oh
you
yeah,
off.
yeah. So my girlfriend and I went to Gettysburg, and like I like Gettysburg. Like I thought it was cool. So like we were putting like flowers on the graves and like just stuff like that or whatever. And we managed to like we sat down by the, I guess, I don't know if you've ever seen the statue of a soldier. Like he's kind of on the outskirts, like, and
In the
he's like,
graveyard or where?
yeah. We've got the graveyard. He's kind of away from the graveyard. He's more towards like the
The
road.
Jenny Wade house, like towards that end or near the front?
I think he was more towards the front, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
But so we sat down, we offered him a cigar, like we're sitting there smoking cigars. I don't drink, but she was drinking. We're like, here, have some rum. We're pouring rum because we thought we were like all that, like, and
Yeah. Yeah.
so like we're pouring rum. Well, all of a sudden, like I started getting like into a trance state. Like sometimes I just go like that.
Right.
And then like she started getting it. Like so we're sitting there and like we're laughing because it's like the dead, like I could hear them in my head. Well, yeah, like ha ha ha, funny. We go back to the room and we're laying there like trying to sleep. And I said to her, Jen, I swear to God, it is so thick in this room. like I said, I can feel like I feel like there's about 100 like dead spirits on top of me, like, and I literally could see them like coming for my face. I could see them in my third eye, like I was, and like she was seeing like 1,000 cats because she's a cat lady. I'm a cat lady too, but like, but I literally was like, wow. But it was
Wow.
freaking me out because like the one like was this far away.
It was like right
Like
in your face.
it was right in my face. Like it looked like something like an old horror movie where they come up and they're just, and I'm like looking at them like, oh shit.
Yeah,
like,
right? Like, what just happened?
yeah, and I literally had to pray to Saint Michael because I'm like, listen, like this is cool because I could see like in my third eye, I could see the soldiers. They were drinking rum, they were drinking coffee. I could see them like, and I could feel them like, and it was an amazing experience because I could feel like how lonely they were. Like I could feel
Gettysburg
like
is a very heavy place. I mean, that's the
yeah.
only place where I've ever seen a full body apparition where it looked, the soldier, he looked like looking at you right now does, like so solid that I swore that I really saw a person, enough to where I was asking people around me if they just saw this. I thought he was a reenactor, you know, because they do so much of that up there. And everyone that I asked, I mean, I was going up to strangers just like, did you see where's the reenactor, where's the Confederate soldier, I just saw him. And they're like, yeah, we didn't see anybody. I'm like, no, he was right beside you. And they're like, no, we didn't see anybody.
Like, they will manifest like that. I generally can't, like if I'm in my bedroom and I'm meditating, I can, like I said, I'll see them like on the shadows. I'll see them in the candle. Like I've seen amazing visions just scrying into a candle, and like they keep telling me like they're like, my one friend is a high priest. Shout out to Mark Cronin. But he gave me a scrying mirror, like, which is like the black mirror. Well, I looked in it, I'm like, I can't really see. And like they keep telling me like, will you just please work with it? They're like, it really does work. Oh, I just got a spirit tap like right on my arm. I just gotta please work with it. But and it just like, so I looked at it and it's really fascinating because like you see so many beautiful, like I've seen ancestors, I've seen like all kinds of, I saw myself, like I've seen past lives, and
see,
I'm like,
that's awesome. Whenever I scry, I get freaked out. So I try to do it because I want to really like fine tune the skill and all, but I always, what I see is I see my face reflecting in it, you know, and then I get like these like looming shadows like around my shoulders creeping up behind me, like like almost like I'm being surrounded, and it always feels negative. So I can only scry for like maybe like 5 minutes was the longest I ever did it before I got really freaked out, and I thought something really negative was like coming around because it did not feel happy.
No, Papa said they were ghosts from the past. He said that they were coming around because sometimes they come through the mirror. But he said, let me listen. He said, they said like mainly they were just curious, but like they're a lower energy and you got to watch out for them because like sometimes like you will have physical symptoms. Like it's like you'll have like tingling, you'll have like weird pains.
Mm-hmm.
Or like you'll feel like I was doing a banishing for somebody and I literally got such a like spinning in my head, like I was like, whoa. Yeah. Like you'll just feel that energy.
I gotta learn. Like that's where I am. Like I get the feeling, and then instead of working through it, I'm just like, oh crap. Like it freaks me out. I'm like, oh, something's happening and I don't like it, so I'm done, you know? Like, but like I think like if I could push through that and just learn to like know that that's going to happen, then like I would really be able to like fine tune my skills and all. But like I just it feels negative. It feels dark. So I'm just like, nope, I'm done.
Just start. I will send you a cleansing bath because like the spiritual baths are like awesome to take, like especially for people that are like in touch with those energies. Like it's just a bunch of herbs. You boil them up like a tea. You just pour the bath water like into the bath. You know, pour it on your head. Just wash. And like it takes a lot of that off. I do it every single day because otherwise, like I'd be a crazy lady. I'd be like, this is just too much.
Well, I use Reiki a lot, and I kind of use that to like brush off my aura and stuff because it's like I can't. I don't necessarily hear or like have any like weird experiences happening or anything, but sometimes I just feel like ugh. Like, there's no reason to feel this muddy. Like, this is not my doing. All I did was wake up today.
Is your mom still alive?
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm hearing your mom.
Oh. I don't know. I was pretty close with my grandma, but and I called my grandma my mom. So
She said she's here. She said she's very happy with what you're doing. Keep up the good work. It's, I was gonna say I heard her and Pop Up are happy, but I don't know. I can't get a beat on if Pop Up has passed.
he is.
Yeah. Oh, I see her knitting. Like she's knitting.
Oh
She used
yeah.
to knit. Yeah, I
When
see
she
her
was
knitting.
younger, when she was like before, way before I was born. Yeah.
She said, like, I hear her, like, she's saying that I'm hearing some of your family, somebody in your past, like your ancestor was a Confederate soldier. They
Oh.
said, yeah, they said that's one of the reasons why, like you're drawn to Gettysburg is because like you have that connection, that link.
Oh, cool. Okay, that I never knew. I knew my grandpa
Yeah,
was in World War II, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. They're saying that like whoever it is, like they died in battle. I'm hearing the remains. I hear the remains were undisturbed. That's all I heard. I don't know where they are.
Sounds like they weren't.
They're in Gettysburg. They're saying they're in Gettysburg. So apparently, like you have an ancestor that is buried in Gettysburg. That's what I'm getting. Like don't quote me on that, you know, because again, sometimes I'm not entirely correct, but I keep getting a yeah. I'm also getting Charles.
I don't
Yeah, so
know
I
a
don't
Charles.
know.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it's worth a look, you know, because you just don't know. Like, I mean, it's like my uncle died about 2 years ago, and I had no idea. Like, we went to bury him, and like my grandfather had been in the service. I had no idea. Like, they had a tombstone there, and I'm like, oh my God, like, because my grandfather died when I was 4, and I was like, wow.
Yeah, and I really don't know a lot about like my family tree and stuff, so that's very possible. I only know about my mom's side, about the Italian side. I don't know much about the other side, so
Yeah, I'm also hearing you have somebody in California that's important. Somebody's in California that you need to know.
I know one person in California already. Is it someone who I don't know?
I'm listening. No, you don't know them yet, but there's somebody, they're saying somebody's going to come into your life from California. They said, I keep getting a Rick, like
Oh,
over and over again. Yeah, like Rick. I don't know. Like again, I don't know. Like I said, like it's kind of like hit or miss. Like unless like I'm really, really just focused on it. But they said somebody in California is going to be important to you. Like you're going to meet somebody. Like I don't know if it's through your friend in California. I don't know, but there's something they're going to come into your life, and it's important that like you know this person. It's
okay.
for they said for personal growth for yourself.
Oh, well, fantastic. Hopefully it's soon because now I'm going to be wondering.
Yeah, I know. Like I always feel so bad when I tell people that they're like, "Who is it?" I'm like, "I don't know."
As soon as I forget about it, they'll probably show up.
Oh yeah, that's what happens. Like people will come back and they're like, "You told me that such and such would happen," and I'm like,
Didn't
"Did
say
I?
when. You didn't
Did
say
I?"
when.
I was like, "I don't really remember." I was like, "Did I?" Oh, okay.
Let's see. So, Chris wants to know a little something off topic. He says, "Do you like the monster cereals like Count Chocula?"
Oh my God, I haven't had that since I was a kid. No, we're trying to go keto over here. Like no sugar
Yep,
cereals, you know, trying to be
that's
healthy.
a good diet. I was on it. They say don't do it for a long period of time because it can damage your liver, but it is good
And
to
your
do.
kidneys.
Yep, and your
Yeah.
kidneys. And they say,
Chris, why do you ask, Chris? I have no idea. Chris. Hello.
and then Marty says he wants to go to Gettysburg. So Marty is in Canada. You said you listened to his interview last week, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, he was talking all about Ontario and things.
Oh, hugely haunted. I was there, like, I don't know, I'll have to see if I can dig up a picture because like I have this picture they were doing it was a ghost tour and like if you look at the medium slash tour guide, there are so many orbs around her. I was like, wow. Like we're talking like boom on camera, just boom, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. Chris Geyser says Halloween is why. Why? What about Halloween?
that's why he was asking about the monster cereal, just because Halloween, I guess, is only a few months away now. It's four.
Yeah, we're gonna have an amazing Halloween this year. Like Wiccans call it Samhain, you know, which is like it's gonna because like I don't know if everybody knows this, but we're gonna have a full moon in Taurus on Halloween.
I was getting ready to. chime in
Yeah.
with that. Yeah, it's going to be a full moon and it's on a Saturday.
Yep.
So we get an
Yep.
extra hour because of daylight savings
Yep.
time
Yeah.
plus a
And
full moon. Like,
yeah.
everybody wear your masks so that Halloween is not canceled because it's an important one.
Oh yeah, it's especially important because Baron Samedi, Voodoo King of the Dead, like the day that we serve him is Saturday. Like Samedi is French for Saturday. So like he served on Saturday, like it's on Halloween, which of course the veil is super thin, amazing. Like it's in Taurus, which is me. So I know I'm gonna like I'm basically whole I'm not going anywhere.
No,
Like I'm just like I mean I'll probably do ritual.
there's
But
going to be
like
like
it's
no veil with the full moon on top of all this.
yeah, yeah, and like it's gonna be amazing. So like like Baron Samedi gets rid of like a lot of like bad stuff. Like he does a lot of work to take off, like negative shit. Like he's an amazing healer. So it's gonna be like quite the Samhain this year. And of course, like he served Day of the Dead. If you're talking Mexico, November 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th is Day of the Dead. So like in voodoo, like we serve Papa Gede, Papa Baron, like we serve all the Gede usually like on November 2nd. So I have a feeling that Papa Hector is probably going to have like his ceremony on Halloween on Samhain. So of course, like I would be more than happy to post pictures. I mean, obviously not of people, but like, if there's anything, etc., because it's going to be a pretty amazing night. It's, with everything like celestially.
Yeah, it's going to be like the energy is going to be like through the roof, like just
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So, are there any final questions for Lisa? I got about 3 minutes, and then I'm gonna let her go and do a wrap up. So, if we have any questions, go ahead and just put those in. Lisa,
Yeah,
thank
I'm
you so
surprised.
much for coming in. Like, this has been awesome having you on.
Oh, thanks, sweetie.
And I'll just have to get some of those links from you, and I'll put them down in show notes for everyone so they can check out your Etsy and
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Like I said, I mean, occasionally I get like silly people who, like trying to turn me into a mermaid. And like I said to you off air, I was like, now if I were unethical, I'd be like, sure, absolutely. But I can't. Like that's just ridiculous. Like I can't do that kind of stuff.
You don't want that kind of attached
No,
to your
it's
reputation.
silly. It's silly. And then of course, occasionally you get the like people like, do you work with the devil? No, I work with the Holy Trinity.
Right.
We don't do no, 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 no. We don't. We're pagans. We don't believe in him. He's just Pan.
Yeah.
Yeah. When of course this is his full moon, like it's full moon in Capricorn, buck moon. So this of course corresponds to Pan, the god of the woodland, the horn god. So I imagine like tonight's going to be pretty interesting because I can feel them in my head. Like I can't quite see them, but I can feel like something's kind of something.
Yeah, and of course I woke up to like thunderstorms this afternoon too. So it's like already there's always more energy when there's thunderstorms around anyway that I can feel anyway. It's like electrified.
Yeah, like I'm gonna definitely try to do some meditation because I was having trouble. I was trying to meditate last night and I was like, I just can't get it. I can't get it. But it's like now that the eclipse, and this is another thing too, like for Wiccans or witches, do not do magic on the eclipse, okay? Like because like sometimes it'll work
it's
and
gonna
like
ping
it works
pong off everywhere. It's just gonna ping pong around.
Like you have to put such a clear intention, like and like we did energy for last for Litha, like we did it but there was we did it on the 21st, which was the day of the eclipse, and of course Mark was like he was so nervous. I'm like, Mark, I work with Papa Gede, I work with St. Michael, calm down.
Yeah.
Calm down. God is not going to strike you dead. It's okay. Like, that whole like smite thee, it doesn't really happen. And we were fine. But like, like there's a couple little weirdness, but just you have to be careful because eclipse, it's like all over the place.
Yeah. So just do your grounding rituals, do your cleansing rituals, but try not to call out to the universe because it's already like chaos up there right now.
Yeah, and just like I always say, like surround me with the brightest light, the brightest of intentions. I said, bring me into the sight of God.
Right, exactly. So just keep that white light around you and, enjoy the view of the moon from your window, but let's try to hold off on any extreme casting.
because with full moons, like full moons are completion. So I always tell people if you're trying to bring something, and this as a Wicca, like it's like do it during waxing. If you're trying to get rid of something, like if you're trying to like I'm having a bad relationship, trying to get rid of this person, I want to lose weight, I want to lose a bad habit, during waning, because like if the moon's getting smaller, like it's going to take it away. Like the full moon, That's just completion.
Yes. And new moon, same thing, but usually uh full moon is like just rest. Take your 2-3 days and just chill out.
Yeah.
Do you. Let
Yeah.
it be spa day.
Yeah, and it was kind of interesting. Like I said, like with the Capricorn moon, like it was like, like it's ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is like the planet of restriction. So like literally, like I'm in the shower for like 2 days and I'm like, remove all bad things, remove all barriers, remove all obstacles. Like I'm like, remove, because I was just like, like I'm like, take off all the bad stuff, like take the bad habits, take all of it. Like Capricorn is like famous for that.
Yeah.
And it's a very like solid, very stable sign. Like, and I'm like, just please, because if you think about Capricorn, it's the devil card in tarot. It's
Mm-hmm.
number 15. Okay, so like that's Capricorn, that's Baphomet, the devil. Like, and then like if you reduce it, it's the Lover's card, choices.
Right. Yep. So there's layers, and the most important thing is, like I always say, do your research ahead of time. Don't just dive into these things because it sounds fun and because you saw it in a movie. Do your
Yeah, no,
research.
please don't do that.
Please do your research. Read your books first. I mean, like, seriously, I was probably reading books and having conversations in social groups and stuff
Yeah.
about these dabblings and stuff, like at least probably 2-3 years before I really started doing anything of any uh
Yeah.
major concern. I mean, outside of just learning how to meditate and lighting my candles and practicing with how to give offerings and things like that. I didn't really start spell work actually probably
Yeah.
until I was about maybe 15 or 16, and I started going to the library reading up on this stuff when I was 12. so I,
Yeah, like you just don't really know what you're doing. I mean, I fooled around with it too, and then I was like, okay, whatever.
I mean, I did the stupid stuff like Bloody Mary, and then
Oh no, that was so scary.
even Candyman like had his own thing that was very similar to Bloody Mary, and you do stuff like that, and like weird stuff happened, and especially don't even get me started about when I got my first Ouija board. I mean, I was a stupid
Oh
kid.
my God, do not even tell me you're still using that.
No, I do not. I collect them because I think they're beautiful, and
Yeah, they are.
there's a lot of really awesome custom made boards and all that stuff. So I collect them, but I do not. No, I do not use them anymore, and I have stories, but that is a whole other episode for another day.
Oh yeah.
But I was a stupid kid once, so let me just speak from experience and say, please do your research. The buddy system is key. Like, if you're going out exploring places, like, if you're looking for a place to do your ritual outdoors or anything, buddy system is important. Make sure
Yeah.
people know where you are.
Yeah.
Make sure you don't go outside of cell phone reception. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's just
Nope.
you just don't know anymore. The world is absolutely crazy, and when dealing
Yeah.
with spirit, it's just unpredictable sometimes. And it doesn't matter how long you've been practicing.
No, because there's always one of the things about being a medium or a witch is that like you get a little bit of power and then you're like, oh, let's try this. Let's try this. And then people like you go to like Barnes and Noble or whatever, and you're like, oh, look at this stuff. Look at this high ceremonial magic stuff.
And that's
Well, let's
really
try to do
unfortunate
this.
that it's so in the mainstream. Like, it's really unfortunate. Like, as like cool or easy access as that might be for some of us to see
Ooh.
it being more
Uh-uh.
widely discussed, it's
Nope.
actually really really dangerous because you got those who would maybe never find the path otherwise
No, let me tell
suddenly,
you. I know we have to wrap up, but I just want to like add a caveat to that is that when I had my experience of like 3 days, I had a spirit that was basically claiming to be somebody I knew, and the spirit was constantly making stuff up, sexually harassing me. Like I literally was like, I'm gonna go crazy, and like it's because like the way that I did my spell work, I had no protection. I just dove into it.
oh yeah.
And like I had to go through ceremonies and serious cleansings to get rid of like that spirit. And I was like, what is this? And my godfather was like, that is a causal spirit. Like basically it's a spirit that attacks like your causal or your astral body. And it was horrifying because like the spirit, like I would go to log onto my bank account and the spirit would be like, it would read my bank account, like numbers. And I'm like panicking going, oh my God, I'm done. Like, I'm like, it's going to empty out my bank account. Like, it's going to ruin my life.
Yeah.
And because it was telling me that it was my godfather, and I literally, like, I believed it because I didn't know any better. And I was panicking, like, and it was
Yeah.
like, and they will do that. Like, if you don't have that proper protection and you're just like farting around in there,
You're going to get those bottom vibration spirits right away, and
yeah,
you're
like,
gonna think you're gonna think like, oh wow, yeah, I'm really good at this. I got it. Look at me. I got
no.
connection because they come at you right away.
Oh yeah, they appeal to every level of your ego. Oh, you're so powerful. Oh, you're so amazing.
Oh,
You're
I
so
have so
beautiful. You're
many.
so this.
Yeah, I know. And like, not to harp on my stupidity as a child or anything, but lessons learned and all. I mean, like with the Ouija board, I got this spirit on there constantly who's called Nana, Nana,
Oh,
and she's claimed to be the wife of the devil,
oh, isn't that lovely?
and I didn't believe her. And here I'm just a smart aleck little kid. I'm like 13, 14 years old, so I start giving it sass, and I'm like, no, you're not, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it did not go well. Let me just say the board disappeared. I don't
Yeah.
know who.
No, they're really listening. It's all like, I mean, like The Exorcist, true story. Started with a Ouija board.
I,
Not in Washington, in Germany, true story. And I'm like, do not do it. I'm like, I'm telling you, like, that's the best piece of advice I can give. And just like I said, like, it's like, just keep in mind that, like, there are spirits that, like, literally they will appeal every single, like, issue or whatever that you have, they will just bug the living shit out of you.
and they
Like,
are
it's,
very easy to contact. I mean,
oh, yeah.
even a complete skeptic would just sit there and say, "Oh, if there's a spirit here, talk to me," and you would get that bottom level spirit right
Oh
away.
yeah.
And
Yeah, and they will never go away. I
no,
mean, like, they was horrible. Like, my first year of doing this, like, I had spirits that I did not have a moment's peace. Like, I was like I would hear like a million spirit voices and I'm like, I'm gonna go crazy. I'm
that's
like,
what I'm
this is
saying.
just,
You have to learn to filter, and you have to learn to identify those vibrations because,
yeah.
I mean, if you just think, "Oh yeah, I must be a natural born medium or something," or "Oh, my third eye is so open, I'm getting all these voices, and this is wonderful and everything." No, it's not. It's these bottom level
Mm-mm,
vibrations, and once you
mm-mm.
actually make connection with like true spirit, and you feel the difference from
Yeah,
that very violent, shaking kind of vibration to like just like the
yeah.
smooth, like peaceful, like
It's
helping
love.
helping hand on your back. Yeah, it's love. Once you
It's
feel
love. It's
that,
it's the
like,
most beautiful feeling. Like, you feel like I feel like the sun is in my chest. Like, I feel like my whole heart just opens up. It's like, it's such love.
it's such a different feeling. So I mean, like, once you actually have that real connection, it'll help you be able to filter, and you'll learn how to adjust your third eye and adjust everything to
Yeah.
vibrate
Yeah,
where you need to be. But just don't go doing what you see on TV. Like, I can never caution.
no.
I can
Mm-mm,
never
mm-mm,
caution enough,
mm-mm.
really.
Because
So
again, like, people, I mean, I even, like, last year I had somebody ask me to do a seance, and I'm like, hell to the no. I'm
no,
like, no, 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 no. I'm like, because you just
that's not a
don't.
community service. No.
No, no, because, like, people are like, can you get in touch with this one? And I'm like, listen, I said, it's the spirits. There are spirits that don't want to speak.
Right.
Like, there are people are like, listen, I want to talk to my brother, and I'll get up, And I'm like, listen, I said, just because you may want to talk to a spirit does not mean that they want or have to talk to you.
I mean, sometimes people really want to just be dead
Yeah,
and be
I mean,
left
it's like,
alone.
it's like, leave them at peace, and, like, really, like, they are the same people, like, in life. Like, it's like anybody who's like, they pass over and, like, now they're in heaven, they've got their little angel wings and they're at eternal peace. Yeah, no, not all the time they're not. Like, they have to choose that path. There are spirits that are just as pissy and ignorant and assholish as they were in life. Like, trust me, they've come
There
through my head and I'm like, dude,
there are so many
seriously, don't cuss at
there
me.
are like just as many afterlife lives as there are earthly grounded living lives. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
like the living situations are, I mean, it's endless, just like it is
Hmm.
for us. So just, you get what you ask for basically, but just, be educated and be smart about
Yeah.
it and be
Yeah.
protected. So, but
Yeah.
thank you so much, Lisa. We don't have
No
any
worries.
more
Thank you so
questions,
much.
but yeah, if anyone has any questions that they think up later on or anything, Lisa's contact information is going to be in the show notes. So feel free to contact her or contact me for anything that you think of after the fact. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and thank you again, Lisa, and we'll be talking again soon.
Thank you. Have a beautiful night. It was a real pleasure. Thanks so much for having me on the show. Thank you,
Thank you.
everybody.
Good night.
Okay, good night, dear.
So that was Lisa Rambow, and she was fantastic. What did you think? Let me know. You can let me know in the comments, or you can get a hold of me. I'm going to do a post-show chat. I know we went over our normal streaming time tonight, but I just couldn't help it. The conversation was so good. So I'm going to do my regular after-show chat on the book face in the group, Coffee with the Dead group. If you're not already a member, go ahead and send an invitation to join the group. Not an invitation, more like a request. So send that over. I'll approve you, and we can keep it going. So remember, check out the Teespring. There's a link to that in show notes. I made a sweatshirt. We have cloth face masks. Those are super important. You all should buy those and never take them off, because we have to get rid of this virus. We have to get rid of it. We have to be able to have Halloween. We have to get back to our normal lives. You know, the new normal is not acceptable. I want to get back to normal. I don't want to have to be wary of going out anymore, and I am really sad to see all these local businesses having to struggle, and so many of them are actually shutting down. So it's horrible, and it's not going to get any better if we keep doing what we're doing. So we need to stay home and wear our masks, and that's it. You know, we have to save Halloween. So if you don't care about anything else, you should at least be caring about Halloween. Else, I don't know why you're listening to this show, because Halloween and stuff. So we have those masks. They come in like a dozen different colors. The cotton cloth face masks, and you put a filter in. You can slide that right in the back there. And like I said, we also have those cool sweatshirts with the repeating Mugman pattern all over. Got socks, got tote bags. We now have the retro label t-shirt, which is all colorful and vaporwave looking. So yeah, I remade the coffee stain logo shirt. So yeah, go over there, check it out. teespring.com/stores/coffee with the dead. And if you'd like to be a guest, email me, paraann@cwtd.co, or message me on Facebook. I am the real Paraann. Or you can message me on Coffee with the Dead site. I believe that's all for now. Thank you all so much for listening to this slightly longer than usual episode. And remember, the veil is thin.